A lot of the other Iranian movies are produced by the Revolutionary Guard. Or, on the other side, you have Hollywood Hitjobs, you have Argos.
You're listening to Cinema Rex, an Iranian film podcast. Episode 60, a Hollywood hit job special, Steven Spielberg's The Terminal.
درود بر شما دوستان عزیز. This is the Cinema Rex podcast where we discuss all things Iranian film, cinema, art, literature, poetry, television. I'm Kaveh Mohebi.
And I'm Farhan Moradi.
Farhan, درود بر شما دوست منه دوست عزیز من.
درود بر شما.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We don't have time for that. We have a guest.
We have a guest? Who's our guest?
Yes.
Wow, no small talk at all.
No, not today. There's so much to cover with this ridiculous Hollywood hit job episode. How am I sounding, by the way?
You sound beautiful.
Great. You look beautiful.
You look okay.
Great. That's mean. That was also very quick. Do you want to introduce our guest or shall I?
Okay, I'm going to give a little unofficial intro and then you can read the bio.
Okay.
I came across our guest. His name is Pouya. He is a very funny comedian. I came across his content online just through the algorithm, and I thought his stuff was really funny. It was really great. And then over the last couple of years, I've seen him post the occasional political commentary, and usually through humor. And I find that his takes are very nuanced. They're very astute. And I've been a very big fan of his and wanted to have him on the podcast for a while. So excited to have him. You want to give a more formal intro to the audience on who Pouya is?
Pouya is a stand-up comedian from Switzerland, 2 years in the making, performing across Europe and North America if his visa gets cleared. In his past life, he was a, quote, machine learning engineer, and he hung up the machine learning tools for a microphone. And most notably, he gives podcast hosts very short bios. Welcome to the show, Pouya. It's an honor to have you. You're very, very, very funny. I've seen your stuff on Instagram, and it brings a smile to my face.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for that lovely introduction. And sorry that my bio that I gave you was so short. I try to keep it very concise. And I don't really like talking about myself too much. So, thank you so much for all the kind words. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your stuff can be found on Instagram at Pouya Comedy, all one word. And you have a huge following. So, tell me a little bit about how you kind of got started. Why did you decide to do comedy? I mean, a lot of Iranians this generation are finally finding their voice in comedy. But how did it start for you?
It's a weird story. So I was always a big fan of just jokes and comedy in general. Mm-hmm. So I grew up watching a lot of stand-ups. I remember watching Dave Chappelle in my room, or Louis C.K. So a lot of American stand-ups. I also remember as a kid when I was still in Iran, my mom once bought me a joke book, and I was just I was so good at memorizing all of those jokes, and I would just tell them on the playground at school. So that was sort of my mechanism to make friends,
right?
Doing jokes. And then almost 2 years ago now, I was just dissatisfied with my life and work and so on. I went to a local open mic as an audience member. And I saw a few guys, and I thought, if they're doing it, I should give it a shot.
Yeah,
that's how most people get started.
Schmucks can do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I just was lucky enough to get on, and then you just get addicted to the feeling, to the process. Yeah.
Was the joke book? Was it Molla Nasruddin?
No, actually, it was just some random 101 jokes. I don't remember any of them.
Yeah,
all clean jokes, of course. But then after that, I would just Google
You'd look
in Iran,
up the
all jokes are kind of racist, or Ghazvini jokes, or whatever,
pork jokes and whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we were kids, so I didn't understand the nuance of it. But yeah.
So you were born in Iran, and then did you grow up in Switzerland, or how old were you when you moved?
So I was 15 when I moved. By the end of this week, it will officially be 15 years in Iran, 15 years in Switzerland.
Wow.
Okay, wow.
So by the time this podcast is out, you will have spent more time outside of Iran than inside of Iran.
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, out of the three of us, you're the only one who's grown up in a fascist totalitarian dictatorship. So what is life like in Switzerland exactly?
I mean, it's very strict. Like people are very closed up. You have to recycle on time. You have to be quiet after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
If you don't, you get a fine. You have to check your mailbox every day, and if you don't, you get another fine in the mailbox.
That fine says, "Don't make us send a third fine."
Exactly. Yeah. And at some point they might show up at your door and like make you pay it. But I have one of my good friends is from Mashhad, right? And Mashhad is this like has the stereotype of being this religious city, and now he also lives here since 5 or 6 years. And every time something happens, like, I don't know, he tries to ask a girl out, or like he goes to a bar and he sees like a big group of guys, a big group of girls. He's like, what is this Mashhad? Like in Mashhad, we were more mixed and open-minded than here. What's
That's
going
funny.
on in Switzerland?
That's really funny. I have a question for you about your career. What language is funniest? Are you doing your stand-up in Swiss German? Or are you doing it in English? And which one do you prefer to do it in if you had your choice?
So I do it in English mainly because weirdly enough, it's the language I think in, although I think in broken English, I guess. So so for me, it's easier to just speak English, or like my version of English. I've done Swiss German comedy twice, and it's different. I'm not as quick as I would like to be in Swiss German.
We have a friend named Navid. He doesn't put his last name out there, but his Instagram handle is Navidara.
Okay.
And he's really, really funny. He puts a lot of like Farsi content out there on Instagram. And he once mentioned on our podcast that he finds Farsi the funniest language to do comedy in. And like, I don't know why, but I agree. When he does his like Iranian characters, there's something so funny about that that is just not translatable in English. So I just always find that interesting when someone is a comedian who speaks multiple languages, what language they find the funniest to communicate.
We've even like played card games with him before. Like the game Mafia?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like even when we play Mafia with him, just as like when he like utilizes Iranian mannerisms in the game, it's like immediately he did no words used and like everyone's dying of laughter. Yeah. It's similar to like a lot of the stuff in Samad, right? Like a lot of the little like Iranianisms.
Yeah.
They're great.
Like I mean, it depends on where you grew up, like what mannerisms you pick up, and like if you speak Farsi, you can be more specific about certain things, and that's a shared experience among all of you. So you find it funny. I don't really have that superpower, to be honest. Most of my Iranian friends are funnier than me if we hang out.
Yeah. Well, there's something I think it goes back to like it being familial. Like when someone does a joke in Farsi or does a character in Farsi, the Iranian part of our brains like associated with like an uncle.
Exactly.
It's like someone's amu or someone's dad or like a grandpa, and like you instantly make that connection to like it's funnier because you can relate to the family member that you're imagining or something. So that must be part of what it is. If any of us hear someone do a joke in English, we're not relating it from a personal family state, right? We're just hearing someone tell a joke. So that might be part of it, which is really funny.
For sure, yeah.
But now with this, let's jump into, thank you, Pouya, for joining us for this Hollywood Hit Job. We do every 10 episodes, we pick a non-Iranian movie that in some way or another is essentially ripping off, stealing cultural identity from Iranians, telling their version of a story. And it doesn't even mean necessarily we have to hate the movie. Like we've done movies where we had to admit, like Argo was, for example, a film we saw. They were like, it was actually a good movie. I mean, they actually stole a lot more from the Canadian identity than they did from the Iranian identity because we played a big role in that. But today's film is obviously, Farhan, tell us what the film is.
Today's film is The Terminal from Steven Spielberg. It came out in 2004, and it's starring Tom Hanks, Stanley Tucci, and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I think somebody who might be a fan of our podcast might at first be a little bit surprised if they don't know the backstory of Terminal. But I'm asking, let me go to you before we deep dive into all this. Pouya, did you know, had you seen this film before, and did you know about the true backstory behind it?
I did not know of this film before. I just watched it before the pod. I do everything very last minute.
Great, yeah, that's fine.
The backstory I figured out a bit like on just on Wikipedia, but I didn't look into it that deeply. Yeah,
we will go into it in like throughout the sections, but what makes this film a Hollywood hit job is once you look at what the like even down to like they paid for the legal rights to this story. This is a truly Iranian story. Like this happened to an Iranian man who was stuck for 18 years, and none of that is visible in this film, which we feel makes it qualified for a Hollywood hit job. We can jump into our reactions in a minute, but are you guys good if I do a plot summary, a short one really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So The Terminal. When Viktor Navorsky, an Eastern European tourist, arrives at JFK in New York, war breaks out in his country and he finds himself caught up in international politics. Because of the war, the Department of Homeland Security won't let him enter or exit the United States, leaving him trapped at JFK indefinitely. It has a 61% Rotten Tomato score and a 73% audience score. So I'll jump to you, Pouya, first. I want to know, what did you think of the movie The Terminal?
Yeah, first of all, it's interesting where, like, usually Hollywood remakes of true stories, they try to add diversity in, you know, like there was this one's not Hollywood, but the BBC made a remake of Troy, and they made Achilles black, or they make Cleopatra black. Unless the main character is brown, then they make him white, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Every time.
Reverse diversity.
Yeah.
Reversity.
Yeah, because nobody's gonna keep a brown man at the airport for longer, right? I mean, just imagine.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been like science fiction at that point.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, imagine you have to get random checked every day. Jokes aside, I actually enjoyed the movie. I almost cried at the end.
Yeah.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh man, you have more of a heart than I
do.
So I hate to be. I don't know if this is a faux pas or something.
No, it's not. No. Totally. Let me do, before Farhan, I ask you, let me just do this. I wanted to jump up this BTS thing early just to give everything we talk about context, okay? Yeah. The movie was inspired by the story of Mehran Karimi Nasseri. He landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport near Paris in 1988 after being denied entry into England because his Iranian passport and United Nations refugee certificate had been quote-unquote stolen. French authorities wouldn't let him leave the airport, so he remained in Terminal 1, a stateless person with nowhere else to go. He was eventually granted permission to either enter France or return to Iran, but he chose to live in the terminal and tell his story to anybody who would listen. Reportedly, his mental health deteriorated over the years. When given the opportunity to live in France, he refused because the documents did not identify him as Sir Alfred, which was a name he gave himself, and I'll go into that in detail later on. And he claimed to have forgotten his native Persian language. He said he could not speak it. He left the terminal in August 2006 to be hospitalized for an unspecified illness. Afterwards, he lived in a hotel on the money received from this film because he got paid out by DreamWorks $250,000 for the use of his biography. Nasseri moved back to Charles de Gaulle Airport in October 2022, and he died in Terminal 2F on November 12th, 2022. So quite recently. He died of a heart attack. I watched and read and saw a documentary. I've learned so much about this guy that I want to share some really, really crazy stuff about this guy's life. But let's first talk about this movie. So given that context, Farhan, I'd love to know, what did you think of The Terminal?
My immediate thoughts were, ooh. And he's like kind of known for this, for having really intricate blocking and clever blocking. And it like feels very magical the way that he does that. And that's obviously paired with the John Williams music. So it immediately feels like a Spielberg film. I will say, this is the corniest Spielberg film I've ever seen in terms of tone. Distractingly so. There were like scenes where I was like, oh, this is really great. This is like heartwarming. And then it just goes a little too much into heartwarming. Like he's walking through the airport and it's just like shot after shot of all these day player actors like looking at him, like smiling and nodding. And I'm like,
yeah,
I felt physically ill in those moments. But it was also cool to see how many big name actors there are in this film that I don't know if they were as big as they are now back then. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Diego Luna is in this.
Yeah. Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana is in this too.
Yeah.
Also, it's weird seeing Catherine Zeta-Jones in a movie without a Spanish accent because I'm like so used to my like first exposure to her was in Zorro. And in this, she's Welsh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so her American accent in this slips at times too, I found. But I mean, overall, like pretty solid film. No massive glaring issues as a movie. I think just like a little too corny. And it's a damn shame that every bit of Iranianness was basically erased from the film.
I hate when I agree with you this much because I think, first of all, it just makes for less interesting podcast stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm glad Pouya's here as a counter because it's good that somebody really liked the film and I want him to expand on that more. Listen, here's the thing. I hadn't seen this film before. This is my first time watching it. And it would take a lot for me to avoid watching a Tom Hanks starring film that's directed by Spielberg because I love both of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard for a long time that this film is pretty mid. Like the reviews were like, meh, it's a 61% Rotten Tomato score. And I feel like it feels like a 61% Rotten Tomato score. It's not a terrible movie, but what my biggest takeaway, and I'll come back to this a few times, is this to me felt like the end of an era for films where the cheesy, schmaltzy Hollywood appeal was being done.
Yeah.
I think it started to decline around this time. And you know what movie I felt was a nail in the coffin? Was Green Book, the Farley brothers.
Oh, that came out like recently.
Yeah, a few years ago. But I feel like that was the end of it. Like that got nominated at the Oscars and stuff, and I think won. And people were like, I think we're done with this Hollywoodification of like telling these stories and giving it this like sheen of everything is so bubblegum and pop and romantic, right?
Yeah.
Especially when dealing with like heavier subject matter. But I did have a lot of thoughts about the erasure of the Iranian identity. And a lot of my notes off the top were, are they going to even like give a nod to this being an Iranian story? And they don't.
Yeah.
They don't even give like a subtext, like at the end of, during the credits, it's like the real Mehran Nasiri went on to live, whatever, is still there to like, they erased them from this film, which is in and of itself interesting. But also, like, there's a whole running thread about Napoleon.
Yeah.
And it keeps coming back like 4 or 5 times. And I just didn't think it was in any way related to like what's happening. It just seemed like something the screenwriter always wanted to put in a film, like the story about Napoleon, and like found a way to put it in this film. And I kept thinking, like, why couldn't they have pulled from an Iranian story to tell this thing?
Yeah,
like, it would have even like
also Josephine and Napoleon famously had a contentious relationship.
Yeah, there's a lot of, in the IMDb section, there's a lot of like in the mistake section, a lot of the stuff that Catherine Zeta-Jones says about Napoleon is incorrect too. It's factually, historically incorrect. But tell me, I want to know, Pouya, like what were some of the stuff, like how did you feel watching this movie? As someone who enjoyed it, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
What was the feelings you had about it? What led you to cry uncontrollably, I think was your exact words.
Almost. I mean, I teared up a little bit, but I have to be honest. I feel like very unsophisticated right now after everything you two have said.
You've seen more than me.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, the last movie I watched before this one was Avatar 3. So putting that into context, this felt like I'm reading Khayyam, you know? Like because because I was dragged into Avatar 3 by a friend it was his birthday. He's like, we have to go watch this. I'm like, sure. And it's 4 hours or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. So this was like a breath of fresh air. It's like there's a story.
Yeah, for sure.
I could relate with the main character, although they stripped the Iranianness away from him. But as an immigrant myself, like his story is a typical immigrant story, kind of. If you abstract away from the airport, he arrives at the place. He doesn't speak the language. Nobody likes him. Everybody treats him like shit. And then he slowly learns the language. He tries to get a job. He doesn't get a job, but he finally gets one. He still can't get like the permit, you know? So his final way out for the permit is to find love and get married, which is what a lot of immigrants do. They just get married to a local to be able to stay. But what threw me off is that the girl left him at the end. Yeah. And he also went back to his own country at the end. I'm like, wow, this is what they want us immigrants to be like, actually. They want us to go back at some point.
Go back.
They don't want us to get
marry our women.
Yeah.
Don't marry our Welsh American woman.
In the research I'd read that there was 2 versions of the film. One that has Catherine Zeta-Jones come and meet him in Manhattan. Yeah. So they do end up together. And they'd screened that version in a few theaters in California. I don't remember the official reason of why they changed it. I guess Spielberg's just personal taste, but there was a version. They did shoot 2 versions of the ending with Catherine Zeta-Jones ending up with him.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending, to be honest, because the part that made me tear up is where he's explaining my dad wrote all these jazz players, that's great. And I'm collecting. So he's like a man of principle, you know. He's like he's playing by his own rules, kind of. but too much at times. And that's also what bothered me at the end, that he goes, gets the autograph from Benny Golson and just leaves. He doesn't even stay for the concert. You know, like
Yeah, that's true.
He just immediately leaves, kind of. And I'm like, at least watch the concert.
Does he, or is it just like a editing thing? I couldn't tell. I actually wasn't sure.
Actually, he does stay for the concert because the guy can't sign it till after the concert's done.
I see.
I think but he does. Yeah, you're right though. He does leave abruptly. I think the stuff that you're talking about that made you feel, as you described it, crying so hard you fell to your knees. I think that's the stuff Spielberg's really good at. Like Spielberg is really good at pulling the heartstrings, especially when it comes to stuff with parents and stuff. The emotional family connections, he's always been a master of getting. And Tom Hanks, to his credit, is one of the notes I made was Tom Hanks is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this film.
Yeah.
Because he's such a good actor. He's
so
a
endearing.
wonderful, wonderful American actor. He's so endearing. He's so likable that you're pretty much with the masters of Tom Hanks and Spielberg, you're not realizing that Hanks is essentially doing a Spielbergian version of Borat. That's
Bean,
what Tom Hanks is.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
He's Borat.
Yeah.
And honestly, with a lesser director and a lesser performance, this would just be Borat in an airport. Like, it really would be a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so much genuine charm in Tom Hanks. He's so charming that it doesn't fall to that level of parody. It's funny. It's genuinely funny in all the ways it meant.
Honestly, I thought from the beginning of the movie, it seemed like he was very heavy on physical comedy, kind of the way he walked.
Yeah.
And he has this large suitcase and a big suit. It reminded me so much of Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
But throughout the movie, the more he learns English, the more he starts to walk normally. That kind of bothered me a bit. That just because he's from this weird country, he can't walk straight, or
exactly. It's also really interesting because of the way the film is edited. You never really know officially how long he's staying there. And there are moments that, I guess time has gone by, but his English kept getting so much better.
Yeah.
And you don't know, is this the next day or is this 4 months later?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden in the next scene, he's just speaking much better English than he was 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But you're assuming that time has passed.
The reveal that it was snowing outside caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I was like, well, how long has it been?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Even stuff with Diego Luna has a subplot, a B story where he loves Zoe Saldana and he wants Tom Hanks to send messages to her. And then when he finally asks her to give him the ring, I genuinely was like, have these two ever even talked together?
I know.
I thought the same.
And I'm assuming that they have been. I don't think that's the first time they met is on their wedding day. It's not like act or something, it's just like
maybe they're coworkers that already know each other as friends, and then now she's falling in love with him. And then she finds out,
I think
it's the same person. Is that the idea?
And I think that after he started the thing, because then that storyline goes away for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's assumed that they've now started dating regularly, I guess. But we don't see any of it ever.
We don't see it. Yeah.
It's very odd.
Well, she takes the ring and puts it on immediately.
Yeah.
And they never even talk like that, They just she just shows up, flips her
exactly.
hand, and then they're this dolly or whatever with the wedding dress.
Yeah.
I have questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is Farhan's question corner.
Oh, good. Yes, please.
How did Gupta learn of Navorsky's standoff with Homeland?
Okay, hold on. Gupta being the
old black man,
the Indian kind of
I'm joking.
custodian.
Yeah, the Indian custodian.
Yeah, what was this? The standoff with Homeland?
Yeah, remember Navorsky has a standoff with Homeland Security when they want to take away the Bulgarian guy who has the meds for his dad.
The goat medicine thing. Goat medicine.
Yeah.
How? Also, I thought people would start calling him the goat from then on, but they didn't, and I was sad. But
they do. They do.
They only do it once or twice, immediately after. But then it's not. I wanted from that point on in the movie, everyone just anyway.
I think also at the end where Krakozia or whatever is freed, he does a goat impression in the bar.
Oh, does he? Yeah. I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that.
And there's a sign that says "Free the Goat." I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Then I take that back. But how did Gupta learn about the standoff at all?
Because sorry, if I remember, when the Dixon guy's roughing him up after, he puts him above this copy printer, and it just prints a bunch of copies of his hand. and I don't remember if it was Gupta or someone else picks up the copies from his hand and like tells the story.
I think one of the other
locker.
security guards, one of the security guards is also like telling the story to other people, because you find out later on that there's
one
another
of the
security guard.
Yeah, that's true.
There's like he's got allies throughout the whole system. I want to say on the goat medicine scene, I thought that whole scene was kind of stupid. I thought it was like very dumb. I don't understand. Okay, so this is a little behind the scenes too. The original version of the script, when they wanted to say, okay, it's about Iranian, we're not going to make it Iranian, they wanted to make it about a Slovenian, like Slovenia, right? And they decided last minute to change it for cultural reasons. They just thought that it might make people from Slovenia look bad or whatever. So they decided, okay, let's give it a fictional country, Krakosia, which doesn't exist clearly.
Yep.
And one of the things I don't understand is this country in the movie, this country exists. It's like a Slovenia, right?
Yeah.
It's like an Eastern European country. You literally can't find one other person in an airport within a day or two.
Yeah.
It's like you can give me a day or two at an airport. I'll find someone who basically speaks any language in the world.
Especially JFK.
Yeah, JFK,
yeah.
exactly. And it's like, you can't find anyone who speaks the language. And then they find this guy who's like hysterical, and he's Russian, but the dialect is, I thought all of that whole scene was like really sloppy. Like Tom Hanks is the only one who can save the situation.
Yeah.
It was frustrating how much it seemed at the beginning of the movie that Victor is out of the loop. Like they're having all this here's the situation, you're stuck here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yes. And I'm like, does he even understand what is happening to him? Because I feel like he doesn't. He's booking an appointment with Gupta, the custodian, for Tuesday morning. I'm like, I don't think this poor man knows what's happening to him.
Yeah. It was such an American thing from like a European standpoint that they say the interpreters in Newark airport, like there's one guy in all of New York who can translate Russian. And it's just like confirms what Europeans think about Americans, that they think everybody just speaks English per default.
Yeah, it's crazy. We just had a Super Bowl halftime show in the US where not a single English word was spoken the entire time. It's a very international, like JFK, New York. It's very international. You should be able to find somebody.
And he finds a book to learn English, right? He finds these like travel guides in his own language and English. But the head of the airport can't find a single person to translate.
Yeah, legit.
Throughout the whole movie.
And then takes him on his word, knowing that this guy is like probably making shit up in the moment.
Exactly. You can't just double check it. Yeah.
Now that we're shitting on Americans a bit, I do have a few things I wanted to point out. No, I have to. This is
you don't have to apologize. We're Canadian.
I know.
Yeah, we're Canadians.
I don't know how much Canadians like shitting on Americans.
So much.
It's our favorite pastime.
Okay, good to know.
I think there's a really interesting moment, and it's very interesting watching this movie from a 2026 lens because of the state of the United States. But there's a moment where he goes, one of the other security guards is telling Stanley Tucci, like, compassion, sir, that's the backbone of America. It's compassion. And I'm like, no, it really is fucking not. It is, the backbone of America is a lot of things. It is not compassion.
Agreed.
And then he goes like, you can learn a thing or two from Victor. And it's just this idea, again, the Spielbergian, very romanticized idea of what America could be or is just the kind of stuff that, like, as an outsider we watch, and I'm like, you have a very warped sense of the way the rest of the world sees you. Like, compassion is not the backbone of your country. I'm sorry. I just have to say that because I just thought that felt like a lot of what this film is saying. That like everybody in this airport loves him except for Stanley Tucci, and Stanley Tucci's the one man who's standing in his way. I'm like, no, there's a whole like.
I just have to make sure to put my Nexus application in before this episode comes out. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and nobody has compassion with the guy at the beginning of the movie. Like, the woman keeps denying him every day, or she's kind of rude to him at the beginning until he starts flirting with, like, for her, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I have another question.
Go for it.
Why doesn't Stanley Tucci sign the papers in the end? Like, what's his reason for not doing it?
I think it's just like out of principle. Like, this guy's given Stanley Tucci such a hard time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a plot point. The real answer is because the movie needed that scene.
Yeah, needed conflict.
But I think you could argue from a character point is like, this guy's giving him such a hard time That he's like, I'm not going to give you the thing that you need for one day pass in New York. Just leave my country now. That's the reasoning, right?
Maybe
It's the precursor to ICE, this guy.
yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Just leave
It's
the country.
what's the Stephen Miller, is that his name, the Nazi guy, the bald Nazi?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
he
works for
becomes
Trump?
Stephen. Yeah, he becomes Stephen Miller.
Yeah. You
Well,
really-
I
I
really
mean-
have to make sure that
I
get
no,
my
you just have
Nexus
to give up
application.
hopes on getting a Nexus pass. now. I also want to say something about a performance I thought was terrible. And it's odd because Spielberg does get really good acting out of actors.
Uh-huh.
I think Catherine Zeta-Jones was really, really, really bad in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know if it was her acting. I actually think it was the script.
Yeah.
I think it felt like whoever the writers were did not know or care to know how to write a woman at all.
Yeah.
She just kind of came seeming so disingenuous. She comes in with a lot of non sequiturs unrelated to anything that's going on. She like asks him out on a date, and then in the very next scene, she like asks him out on a date again, and she says, "My God, I just asked you out again. You better stay away from me. I'm just like Napoleon. I just ingest poisonous men." And I'm listening to this thinking to myself, what are you saying right now?
Yeah.
What is this line of dialogue? Oh, there I go again, asking you on another date. Oh my, I simply can't control myself. You better stay away from me. It's just like, what? Who speaks this way?
Yeah.
What damsel in distress at the airport is communicating this way? And I just thought everything about her character was very unbelievable and badly written.
Yep. I'm with you. There's a lot of bad actors in this movie. I'm not going to lie. Like, Gupta
You thought other actors were really bad
I thought
too?
Gupta was terrible.
Yeah, I didn't like
Right.
Gupta.
He was a famous juggler, apparently, which was evident from the scene that they decided to
Yeah,
give
as soon
him
as he
plates to
started
juggle.
juggling, I was like, that's why he's in this movie.
Right, for the juggling scene.
Also, you need an appointment. The whole thing didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. It wasn't like slick or like didn't make enough sense. Maybe
No.
my brain is too German, but it was just like it's not a good line to say something. You need an appointment for me or something. You know? Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be a joke that isn't funny. So when the joke isn't funny, it's nonsense.
But they call back to it at the end when he's in front of the plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does say it again. Yeah. What did you think of the whole build? He builds her a Josephine fountain as like this romantic display, which again, I'm like, why are you trying to make this whole Napoleon Josephine subplot a thing? It doesn't seem like it's related at all to anything. You just really wanted to put this part into a script.
Yeah. It made no sense.
It was kind of random, yeah. I like the one line about Napoleon though, where she said, "I like history books. They're long, cheap, and about men killing each other," or something like that.
Oh yeah.
That was a good line.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean with non sequitur. It was kind of a
Yeah.
Okay, should we go to behind the scenes and trivia where I share some information I've learned, and you guys share stuff if you've learned it too, or do you have more stuff you want to shit on this movie, or say praise if you have praise? By all means.
I'm good to
I'll
move on if Pouya is.
Well, yeah. Any other thoughts you want?
The one scene I liked was when he said he's talking to the guy about the girl, like why did she break up with her boyfriend? I don't remember any of their names, but he's like, because he cheat, and she's like, well, he ate shit. He's like, no, he cheat.
Eat shit.
Like that,
Eat shit.
yeah. But
He's like, eat shit.
Eat shit.
Yeah,
Very
that's really
cheap
good.
joke.
I wrote that part down too.
But I like it.
So this is behind the scenes and trivia stuff. Victor comes from the fictional country of Krakosia, but he's speaking Bulgarian in the film. And then, in the scene where Victor and other people sing the Krakosian national anthem, they're singing the tune of the Albanian anthem, but they're saying gibberish words, which is just interesting.
So he's not even speaking Bulgarian?
No, they're just gibberish. The airport, you'll like this, Farhan. The airport was a set build
I
for the film.
I knew it. I was going to ask.
Based on the Dusseldorf International Airport, the set was near full-size replica built in a former hangar with 3 working sets of escalators and populated by many popular stores. A Burger King's, a Mrs. Field, a W.H. Smith. Some of these brands were recruited by DreamWorks, while others approached the studio when word of the production got out. Many of the stores and restaurants were built by the construction crews that built the actual mall and airport stores for their respective companies, and some had fully functioning equipment, such as ovens and cash registers. However, the inclusion of a brand on the set was not a guarantee of inclusion in the film. DreamWorks retained full control over editing, and some brands appeared only briefly or not at all. This airport took 16 weeks to build, contained over 112,000 square feet of glass,
That's crazy.
75,000 square feet of floor space, large enough to hold 600 extras, and was fitted with 2,000 miniature lights. Yeah, did you have a sense? Did you know that it was a set, or what was your thinking?
I can't tell you. I spent an embarrassing amount of time like Googling photos of JFK Airport because I was like, this isn't JFK. Like it was like,
right.
It was funny because like I was like, because I've been to a bunch of different airports in the States, so I was like trying to think, what airport is this? It wasn't LAX. It like sort of looked like JFK, but it also sort of looked like the Newark airport. So I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, it must be a set build. So I was literally I had a question here for BTS. I was going to ask if you knew whether or not this was built. It's a very good build. The only thing that made me think it was a set was the fact that I couldn't place it as JFK.
Yeah, you were playing GeoGuessr with the
with the movie.
Oh yeah. This is a note for Pouya. I want to know your thoughts on this. So originally, Victor was going to arrive from Slovenia, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
It was changed after the advice from Mark Rijavec, the former consul of Republic of Slovenia in the United States. Some people considered Slovenia to be the Switzerland of Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And he said it wouldn't look credible if a civil war were to start in one of the new members of the European Union. So, as a Swiss citizen.
Yeah.
A Switzerland.
But yeah, is that, have you heard that Slovenia is the Switzerland of Eastern Europe?
I mean, everywhere is the Switzerland of somewhere, like if you probably go to Esfahan and they say, oh, this is the Switzerland of Iran, or I don't know. But yeah, I've heard
that was a very Swiss answer, very neutral.
I know. I've heard like Slovenia is not a tumultuous country as far as I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like if you pick like Belarus or something, it's more likely that it's going to be a civil war there. But like those like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, they've been pretty peaceful for quite a long time, I think.
Yeah.
For a relatively long time. Yeah.
It's funny how they made this major change to the script based on cultural consultation from a European country. A grace that is like pretty much never awarded to Iranian movies that are being adapted.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the movie's about Iran, it has to include terrorism. Otherwise,
exactly.
No way to watch it.
Yeah.
One of my last notes on the film, Tom Hanks was attached to this project long before Spielberg came on board. And at various points, Sam Mendes, Lasse Hallström, and Robert Zemeckis were all attached to direct this film.
That's crazy. Robert Zemeckis, I could see. Sam Mendes directing this would have been a weird movie.
Would have been weird. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about this guy. So there's a 30-minute documentary you can watch on YouTube if anyone's interested called Sir Alfred of Charles de Gaulle Airport. It came out in 2000.
Okay.
Which is about the real Victor, which is a man named Mehran Nasseri. As I'd mentioned earlier, Nasseri lived in the department lounge of the Terminal 1 at Charles de Gaulle Airport from the 26th of August, 1988 until July 2006. His autobiography was published as a book, The Terminal Man, in 2004. Nasseri's story inspired the 1993 film, it's a French film called Lost in Transit, and the 2004 film, The Terminal. He returned to living at the airport in September 2002 and died of a heart attack. See, now Lost in Transit is actually the first film that did it. It's a French film, and even in that version, they don't acknowledge the fact that he's Iranian. They just made him French.
Okay.
It's directed by Philippe Lioré. So I'm going to do a weird 180 about everything I said before that.
Whoa, the French title is Tombé du ciel, which means fallen from the sky or fallen from heaven.
Oh, that's interesting. Why'd they translate it to Lost in Transit, then?
I think the title was Lost in Translation.
So there's a lot of very interesting things you get.
I hate you.
That the title was a different title?
Yeah. You said the title was...
I said, that's interesting. Why did they change it?
And I said, because it was Lost in Translation.
I didn't realize you were doing a joke.
I hate you. I hate you so much. I thought that was so clever. Damn you, Colin.
I mean, it just fit too well with the actual answer. You were being a joke. I was like, oh yeah, I probably was Lost in Translation. You want to take it again?
No.
I can insert a laugh track.
Friends.
After reading a lot about Nasseri, I think this is a case where... Well, let me tell you what I've learned, and I want to know your thoughts first about this guy, okay?
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Nasseri alleged that he was expelled from Iran in 1977 for protests against the Shah, and after a long battle involving applications in several countries, was awarded refugee status by the United Nations High Commissioners for Refugees in Belgium. This allegedly permitted residence in many other European countries for Nasseri. However, this claim was disputed, with investigations showing that Nasseri was never expelled from Iran. He was able to travel between the United Kingdom and France, but in 1988, his papers were lost, quote unquote, when his briefcase was allegedly stolen, quote unquote. Others indicate that Nasseri actually mailed his documents to Brussels while on board a ferry to Britain, lying about them being stolen. After he arrived in London, he had returned to France, where he failed to present a passport to the British immigration official. At the French airport, he was unable to prove his identity or refugee status and was detained in the waiting area for travelers without papers. Nasseri's case was later taken on by the French human rights lawyer Christian Bourget, who actually speaks in this documentary a lot. And attempts were made to have the new documents issued from Belgium. In 1995, the Belgian authorities granted permission for him to travel to Belgium, but only if he agreed to live there under the supervision of a social worker. Nasseri refused this on the grounds of wanting to enter the UK as originally intended. Both France and Belgium offered Nasseri residency, but he refused to sign the papers as they listed him as being Iranian nationality and not British. And they didn't show his preferred name that he had given himself, which was Sir Alfred Mehran, including the misplaced comma after Sir. His refusal to sign the documents was much to the frustration of his lawyer. When contacted about Nasseri's situation, his family had stated that they believed he was living the life he wanted. During his long stay in Terminal 1 at Charles de Gaulle Airport, he would be found day and night passing around Paris's bye-bye bar, where he wrote in his journal, listened to the radio, and smoked his golden pipe, or ate a meal at McDonald's. The meals were bought for him by strangers and staff at the airport, and sometimes he sat on a red bench at the terminal's first level and just sat there all day. In other accounts, his luggage was always by his side, and he wrote in his diary and studied economics. So in 2003, as we know, Spielberg's DreamWorks production company paid him $250,000 for the rights, but they ultimately did not use his story in the film, as you know. Here's the thing from the doc. I think after watching this doc, and I think it's a very interesting documentary to watch, this was a very stubborn, angry, mentally unwell man.
Sounds like it.
Because there was so many opportunities for him to leave. So they bent over backwards. And the film makes it seem like this is bureaucracy letting an immigration system down, letting a refugee down. This failed this man. And even articles came out saying that how could the European immigration system fail this man so horribly? When you see this man talk and you see this the amount of backflips that many European countries did to allow him to come in, I think, this is my personal opinion, is he seemed mentally ill. Like he might as well in any other situation been a homeless man in the streets who had refused the help because he wanted one very specific thing. He wanted UK citizenship. When they even granted him the closest thing to that, which is temporary residency, he rejected it because they said, you have my Iranian nationality in this document. I am not Iranian. So the documentarian who made this film about him, his name is Hamid Rahmanian, and he wanted to interview this guy. Mehran had refused to talk to him because he was Iranian. But when Mehran found out that his wife was an American woman, like white American woman, he said, I will do all my interviews with your wife in English. To the point where Hamid would stand there and film it with the camera, but Mehran would never even look at his camera. Okay, so Hamid said the first time he saw him, he started speaking to him in Farsi, and Mehran yelled at him, screaming in English, saying, I don't speak Farsi, I don't understand what you're saying, get away from me. When in the documentary, you hear him say in Farsi, he says, so if I speak to you in Farsi, you understand me or not? And he says in English, I understand you, but I can't speak that language back to you. He's saying all of this with a thick Iranian accent, by the way.
Right.
He also claims he has no accent. He also claims he's half British, which he does not look half white from this when you look at this man.
Right.
He claims that his citizenship is either Swiss or British, and his information is lost. He claims that he wasn't born in Iran. He says his identity of where he was born is unknown. He claims to not have parents and not have siblings, even though this documentarian found his siblings who refused to talk much about him. So this guy has a deep, deep resentment for his Iranian identity. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I want to
Well,
know your thoughts about that.
He's also claimed that his mom was Scottish, and then another time he claimed his mom was Swedish.
Yeah.
I think he was the guy who made Spielberg make the guy not be Iranian.
That's what
He didn't sign up the rights to him.
I think there is a bit of that, because I wonder how much we usually talk about Hollywood hit jobs as like, this is a filmmaker erasing the Iranian identity. And then when I saw this documentary about this guy, I'm like, this guy doesn't want any association with his Iranian identity, to the point where it angers him. He openly was hostile to the filmmaker anytime questions about his Iranian identity came up. And he would claim his name is Sir Alfred, because he saw one document that referred to him as Sir, like, dear Sir or Madam, you blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, they asked him, he said, they said, and so what do you know about Sir? And he's like, Sir is a status of great virtue. And he's like, well, what about Mehran? And he's like, Mehran has no virtue. Like, he said that Iranian name of his does not does not hold any virtue. But the British Sir, he had a fetishization for colonial countries. Like, he wanted to be British or Scottish.
He was born in a British petroleum camp in Iran.
Oh.
Is that confirmed? Because they didn't state it in the documentary.
That's what his Wikipedia says. Anglo-Persian Oil Company settlement located in Masjed Soleiman, a small town that would have been created
Interesting.
as a result of the Anglo-Persian Oil Company.
He said he doesn't like Iranian food, but that he's tried it. He said he's never listened to Iranian music and that he grew up listening to American music. When asked if there's something wrong with being Iranian, he simply would shrug and say, no, there's nothing wrong. It's just false. I'm not Iranian. But the guy clearly was. Like, this doesn't look like a mixed race man who was half Scottish, half Iranian.
I mean, if he identifies as Scottish, I mean, that's his right to, even if it's not on paper, he has the right to identify as such.
He could be.
I can give him his pronouns, Sir, comma
Scott slash UK.
It's like the transracial man in Atlanta.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Who identifies as a white man.
But the problem is, and that's fine, he can identify with whatever race or nation he wants. But the issue here is this man refused to leave the airport. And they were like, well, we don't know if we can kick him out because it's public space. But everyone was like, he's free to go whenever he wants. We've given him all the documentation he wants. He could go to... His immigration lawyer had said he was given the final documents to stay in France. He was given temporary residence, which was going to be elevated to permanent residence. He could travel wherever he wants in all locations that signed the Geneva Convention, including Great Britain. He even had the right to work in any of these countries if he wanted to. Everything there was there, like, there was no other problems. The immigration lawyer and the physician at the airport was like, we think the only problem here is psychological. Like, he's the only one holding himself back from leaving.
I mean, to be fair to him, as someone who's visited Paris a few times, every time I go there, I'm like, I wish I hadn't left the airport. It's a disgusting place.
It's really true.
So I get it. I mean, the crazy thing is he went back to the airport after he got the money, right?
Well, exactly. He got the money. He left for a while because he was hospitalized. And he went there to die, it sounds, too. You know what I mean?
Like duty-free cigarettes. I mean, you can't get enough of this tax, tax write-offs.
I also think one last thing that Hamid says, the filmmaker of this documentary, says, he reminds me, speaking about Mehran, he says, he reminds me a lot of the kids in Iran I knew growing up. Most of my kids in my neighborhood wanted to be from somewhere else. Even I often wondered if my life would have been better if I was Swiss. Pouya.
He was my cousin, actually, that guy.
It's actually great that we have you for this, because this filmmaker was like, I wondered if I so wanted to talk to him about these things, but he wouldn't even look up at my camera or acknowledge me.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like, it's Iranian filmmakers like, let's talk about this. I'm interested. Like, why do you feel that you are denying your Iranian citizenship? Like, and the guy wouldn't talk to him. He was mad at him until he realized he had an American wife, and he would talk to his American wife.
That's
and in the
crazy.
documentary, you can see him only answering questions to his wife.
Yeah. I'd be interested to find out what happened to him inside of Iran, because this must have been some deep traumatizing
100%
experiences that he's just like hates himself and anybody who reminds him of it to this extent. Yeah.
There is a thing I've noticed in some family members who have left Iran, that they are very scarred and traumatized by things they've experienced. And there has been this less, like me and Farhan have probably to our detriment, a more romanticized idea of what life in Iran could be. Not by virtue of misunderstanding, but just because we are so divorced from that life that we only know the warts through secondhand stories and stuff. But we really, our nostalgia for a place we've never been has kept us holding Iran with love. You know, we hear the stories our mothers tell us and stuff. Yeah. So there is a truth to, like, you know, people who've witnessed some of the worst atrocities could be like, I don't ever want to go back there or think about that place or be that part of that country ever again.
I mean, I see it in myself and my friends who left like 6 years after I did. Yeah. Even I have more of a romanticized idea of Iran than they do, because they experienced, like, I only experienced my childhood there. It's like being a teenager is completely different. Being an adult is a completely different experience. So each stage traumatizes you more. And if you're like, I can completely see that someone's completely like fully disassociated with the idea of Iran. And it's kind of sad, honestly.
But I think what the biggest difference here is that there's a healthy way to disassociate, and there's what this poor guy was suffering from. This is a psychosis. Like, he was, again, like any other situation, this would be a man with a shopping cart with bags on his hands in the streets of Belgium, like maybe not Belgium, streets of Paris. He would be homeless in the streets. The big difference between Mehran and Victor in this movie is that Victor was genuinely stuck, and he stayed, even when they opened the doors to let him escape, he stayed for noble reasons. He wanted to do the process correctly and be a part of this. Mehran was given multiple outs and refused them. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I don't know. Like, I feel I've done more research on this guy than Spielberg probably did when writing the script. I don't think they went out to ever like interview the guy and get a sense of how he felt, which I think would have been the right thing for a filmmaker to do. Yeah. But there is an interesting thing about how this is the version of the film that Mehran probably wanted.
Do you think that would have made for a better movie? Like, imagine, because that's a completely different movie to me. You have a guy who's, because with this Victor guy, you know nothing about his backstory except that his dad liked jazz for some reason, right? That's the only thing you know. But with this guy, if he's refusing to leave, like Victor, they're trying to catch him. They're trying to trick him to leave. So they can just like shove him off to someone else's, put the responsibility on someone else's shoulders. But with the real character, with the real person, there's like, you need to know more about his backstory to understand that as an audience, I assume. Right?
Well, I mean, that's part of the problem with Hollywood hit jobs. Is this is the romanticized Hollywood version of the film. And I don't think it's looking to answer those questions. A film like this isn't looking for greater truth. One of the things European cinema does so well, and even Iranian cinema actually, is it does dig at the heart of deeper truths about people and humanity. And Spielberg has done that with some of his films, but I think their main goal is always to entertain first and not really poke into deeper questions. But about your question of whether that would have been a better movie, I will save my answer for that for Hollywood remake section when we get there. Yeah, see. There's a Hollywood remake section. Farn, I've talked a lot. I feel like you've been quietly saying that. Is there anything that you'd like to add, or have I taken all the thunder? Yeah.
I found a list of like a bunch of other people who, there's like a whole Wikipedia article on people who have lived or do live in airports. Yeah. And some of them are only like 20 days, but then there's other ones that are like this one. This person is still in Sao Paulo International Airport. His name is Denis Luis de Souza. He's Brazilian. Still in the airport right now as of around the year 2000. He's been there for 25 to 26 years. Wow. Had frequent conflicts at home, and he decided to take refuge in the airport. He seems to suffer from psychological problems, still lives in the airport, but comes out occasionally. So that's like, I think that was the biggest I could find. And then there were other ones that were like 17 to 18 years. This one I find really funny. This one's in Beijing Capital International Airport. The man is Chinese. His name is Wei Jianggo. He wanted to smoke and drink without his family bothering him.
I can relate. As a father, I can relate.
And then there's an added note. Also had difficulty finding work.
Right. Oh, speaking of finding work, I wanted to mention this in our reactions. Can you explain this to me, either of you guys? You've both been to an airport before, right? Uh-huh. Is there typically help wanted signs for jobs in front of the storefront at an airport where everybody who's traveling by is neither a citizen? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
Help wanted sign to hire people would be in front of a store in a city you live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the airport, everybody's always traveling.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to, on a whim, see a sign and be like, you know what? I'm going to stop right now here and apply for this job.
Yeah. A job that requires travel most likely is why they're in the airport, and they're like,
Yeah. It's very interesting. I don't think I thought that felt weird.
Yeah. Maybe you're an immigrant and you see, that's my way to stay. I get a job at the airport.
Yeah, I
maybe,
guess.
yeah.
It's just a weird thing.
yeah, maybe.
Okay, I just wanted to a few last things. There's been multiple other fictionalizations of this. I mentioned Lost in Transit, which was the Lost in Translation title, as you said, Farn, is Fell from the Sky.
Yeah.
There's a short story, The 15-Year Layover, written by Michael Paterniti and published in GQ, and the best American non-required reading chronicles Nasseri's life. Alexis Kouros made a documentary about him, Waiting for Godot at De Gaulle, which is our second Waiting for Godot reference in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Nasseri's story was the inspiration for a contemporary opera called Flight by British composer Jonathan Dove, which was premiered at the Glyndebourne Opera House in 1998. There is Glenn Lutchford and Paul Burkzeller made Here to Wear, which is a mockumentary, which also features Nasseri. And then there's the documentary I mentioned. So they've adapted this story like 100 times. Critical reactions.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say this film made a lot of money, $77.9 million in North America, $141.2 million worldwide.
Oh, wow.
No, sorry, $220 million worldwide.
That's crazy.
Because 2004 is a Spielberg film. Those
Right.
movies, the film grossed $19.1 million in its opening weekend, finishing second. It had mixed or average reviews. Michael Wilmington from Chicago Tribune said the film takes Spielberg into realms he's rarely traveled before. A.O. Scott of the New York Times said Hank's performance brought a lot to the film. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave The Terminal 3.5 out of 4 stars, stating that this premise could have yielded a film of contrivance and labored invention. Spielberg, his actors and writers weave it into a human comedy that is gentle and true and creates a sympathy for all of its characters that finds a tone that will carry them through. That made me unreasonably happy. That's what Ebert said. That's not me saying that.
I thought you were responding that to the review. I was
but
like,
that is
why?
also how I feel. I feel like I think critics went a little too easy on this
Well,
film,
I mean, I feel like
in my personal opinion.
Spielberg has this, I think, this stature in cinema, and he's also a very lovable person.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people that work within the industry or critics probably felt really uncomfortable being too critical of the film.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm fixing something.
That's okay. I just assumed you had a stroke.
Not again. Do you have any thoughts on deeper analysis? I don't really have any.
Wait, before deeper analysis, I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, please. Another question.
What do you guys
Question
think?
corners keep coming.
Yeah. What would you guys think are like some of Spielberg's worst movies?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me pull up his IMDb.
Yeah.
Pouya, have you seen a lot of Spielberg movies?
I am not sure. I don't know. I have to look it up.
Farn, do you have an answer?
This one's pretty high up there for me. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe Temple of Doom.
Oh, come on. That's like one of my favorite Spielberg
Temple
movies.
of Doom is terrible, Cobbett. That movie's
I'm not having this
awful.
discussion with you.
Awful. I also haven't seen War of the Worlds, and I heard it's not great.
It's not great. I'd say probably, honestly, I would say Ready Player One is probably one of his worst ones.
Interesting. I think it's fine. I'd give it like a B minus.
Okay. Well, yeah. Have you seen? So you don't know what films you've seen
I've seen
that are Spielberg films?
I've seen Lincoln. It was a bit boring, but interesting. Jurassic Park. I watched it as a child. I don't remember the newer ones. That's about that. That does it for my knowledge of Spielberg, pretty much.
Wait, he directed Jurassic Park 2?
Yes, it's bad.
Oh, that might be it. That might be the worst. I mean, you don't like Crystal Skull, do you, Kaveh? The fourth Indiana Jones?
No.
I mean, Schindler's List was a bit of a no.
I was like, what? I love Schindler's List. I have a friend who's Jewish, and like her grandparents or something were Holocaust survivors, and she hates Schindler's List.
Oh wow.
She was like, it's too corny. I was like, what? So good.
Deeper analysis. I don't have anything. I don't know what this film is really trying to say. Pouya, who cried so hard his family had to come running down to make sure he was okay during this film.
I mean, I'm
I
still
wanna
wiping
know.
the tears off my
Yeah,
face.
he's still. I want to know. This film must have meant something? I mean, there is a message probably in like how we are all international citizens of the world. We are all
Exactly.
similar,
We
or something like
are
that. But I
the
don't know.
world.
What is your big take?
It just
Exactly.
reminded
That's
me
what
of a Michael Jackson song. Exactly. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought
that
this
is exactly what this film feels like.
was about hope and colors and Jesus. I just loved every second of it. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was enjoyable to watch. I don't see a deeper meaning, especially the ending kind of ruined the deeper meaning. I thought, oh, it's just a feel good story about like a immigrant that comes to the U.S. and plays the role of an American immigrant who integrates or whatever, makes the American dream, makes it, finds a wife and like whatever. But none of that happened. He just went back to Krakosia at the end. Just got one autograph.
Yeah.
So
Yo,
yeah.
you guys ready to have your minds blown?
Okay.
This movie is an allegory for the Iranian diaspora.
Oh, go on.
It's all about freedom deferred for a life spent waiting to depart.
Yeah, exactly.
Expand on this.
You have people in the diaspora who are basically exiles from their culture, from their country, but they're kind of living in purgatory. All of us in the diaspora suffer from this thing where like we feel like we cannot fully integrate into where we live. Even you and I, who are born and raised here, Canada will never be our home in the same way that it is for like the white majority here. There will always be this underlying thing of like, you're not from here, you don't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, at least I was always told of this like magical far off land where everybody looks like me, and one day they'll be like waiting for me in open arms, and they all speak the secret language that I know. Like even being born here, it feels like I'm stuck in purgatory. I'm stuck in this place, almost like a transitionary period, right? And in this movie, he is stuck in this place, stuck in this transitionary period where no one treats him with respect. Eventually, he kind of wins people over, but it's no more than as like a mascot for them, right?
Yeah.
And it isn't until his home goes through this second upheaval, right, that he's able to return.
Yeah.
So Terminal is all about the Iranian diaspora. I don't think it's intended to be, but
Yeah, I think you're giving a lot of credit
Definitely.
to the filmmakers, but it is a good, that's a good, like, if you had to write a university paper on it, it's a good analysis. The documentarian who made that short said that he saw a lot of himself in Mehran because he did feel him being stuck between worlds is a lot of the immigrant experience, even if you're not living in an airport.
Yeah.
Like, as I'm sure Pouya feels growing up in Switzerland. It's like his real life story does become an encapsulation of this idea of like being stuck, as you're saying, Farhan. And the documentarian felt that way too. He said that I feel that this kinship with him, but the Terminal kind of doesn't touch on any of that, which is why I feel it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I mean,
it kind of does, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
One scene I could identify with is when he's talking to Emilia, and she's like, I have this pager, I'm just waiting for the next beep. And he's like the same way, like both of you said, they're just waiting in perpetuity. I like you feel like that as an immigrant or if you're an employee in a big corporation or just in life, you're always waiting for the next thing, kind of,
Yeah. I think this movie unintentionally makes the point that a lot of the like white majority here treat foreigners as idiots. And this was the thing that Pouya mentioned earlier that I think was worth coming back to, is like he's uncivilized at the beginning of the movie when he doesn't speak English. He walks with a hunch. He's like, not only does he not understand English, they set him up as like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not until he starts to learn English that he becomes a smarter person, which I think is like genuinely dangerous.
Yeah. Like the scenes that bothered me is like there's a war in his country and he's like, this is like, he puts his face
Yeah.
on the TV basically.
Yeah.
to try to read what it's saying, but you see behind,
Yeah.
like you see the pictures that it's a war, but he still doesn't get it, kind of.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's
Yeah,
in disbelief, but yeah, exactly.
Also, like, yeah, you're right, because you don't have an easier time reading a language you don't understand by getting closer to the words.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you need to bring your face closer to understand it better. This is how an alien would try to look at a TV screen.
Yeah.
It was very
legit.
Mr. Bean-like way of solving problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make a great point about the body language too, because it didn't really occur to me, but towards the end, when he finally is like, remember when Krakosia is finally free and they're all celebrating at the bar?
Yeah.
He's on the bar being like, hey, blah, blah, and all of a sudden, like, it's almost like a few times Tom Hanks' real voice is slipping in. He sees Catherine Zeta-Jones, hey, come over here. And I'm like, he's now back to like feeling as Americanized as possible. What happened to that guy who was Borat a few hours ago? Okay, great. Shall I go to best scene?
Yeah.
What was your favorite scene in this film? Pouya, go ahead. You go first. What was your favorite scene?
I mean, there was no standout scene to me that like really grabbed me as wow. I guess I have to say the scene where he's like opening the peanut box and he says, my dad liked these jazz musicians and the only reason I came here is to get an autograph.
Yeah.
Which is something so stupid, but it's still like, it kind of touches you emotionally. So I would have to say that one.
Yeah.
I like that scene. That's a good one. Yeah. Mine is the scene where he's trying to escape and the camera's watching him. I thought it was like actually kind of fun and funny. Like I think that was a moment where the movie kind of, that heartwarming camp was at a good balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was good.
I liked all the scenes that involved Zoe Saldana. I thought that interaction felt really nice. Her character was really kind of sweet because she's sort of rooting for him, but she feels, based on the system, compelled to like reject him.
Yeah.
But she kind of is moved by his determination to keep trying.
Yeah.
I really like that stuff. I mean, there was multiple scenes like that, but I really liked their interplay a lot. So any of those would be my favorite scenes. Damn, That's Poetry, where we talk about our favorite quotes from the film. Pouya, you had one earlier. Was that what your favorite quote? The one you mentioned?
Yeah, it's either that. I like history books.
Yeah, I read a lot of history books. They're long and cheap and usually about men killing each other.
Or that other quote, Züberschle, when at first he doesn't speak English. That really touched me too when he's...
Which quote? What was he? What does he say?
This out of context, I'm like, what?
The Züberschle, like whatever, the gibberish he says at the beginning, where nobody understands him yet.
Well, when he's talking at the beginning to the people in the thing?
No, when he's just like, when he's just speaking his own language to himself.
Yeah.
Right.
I have one. My favorite, actually, I thought I would struggle with a favorite quote because I wasn't liking a lot of the writing in this film. But this moment really meant a lot to me. When there's a scene where Stanley Tucci tells him, we figured this out. You can leave my airport. All you have to do is say you're seeking asylum because Krakosia is dangerous and you are afraid to go home. And he's like, Krakosia. And it's like, so Krakosia is bad. Like, you're afraid to go. And he's like,
you're afraid of Krakosia.
Krakosia?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not afraid from Krakosia. I'm a little afraid of this room.
Okay. I'm talking about bombs. I'm talking about human dignity. I'm talking about human rights. Victor, please don't be afraid to tell me that you're afraid of Krakosia.
His home. I'm not afraid from my home.
and I like that because to me, that was the one moment of, like we always talk about, the American attempt to like bastardization of foreign countries. You want to come to America because your place is bad. Your place is evil and dangerous. And he won't, like, in this moment, Tom Hanks' character is aware. He knows that if he says Krakosia is a dangerous place and he's afraid to go home, he can solve his problems. But he's like, I won't allow you to force me to talk shit about my country.
That's good.
And so the quote is, Krakosia is home. I'm not afraid of from home. That's my favorite quote.
I wouldn't have done that if I'm honest. Like that second, I would have said, yes, it's dangerous. Get me out of here. I'm not. I'm not spending another night in a fucking airport.
Okay, mine is it's when Gupta is angry with Tom Hanks or with, what was his name, Victor, for not leaving the airport. and he says,
You make us to think you would walk out those doors, that you'll fight with them. Why don't you fight?
The war is over.
all right, I like that.
Yeah.
A good turn of phrase.
Yeah. There is this thing too around when he finally. What did you think about the fact that Catherine Zeta-Jones finds out he's living there and she's mad at him for keeping that secret? And my personal thoughts were, it's a little harsh. Like, he's stuck and the guy's like, Bichara, he can't like do anything about the situation. And she was like, they treated it like a scene in a rom-com where the girlfriend finds out you've been keeping the secret from me all these years or something. I just thought those little moments were trying to make two movies into one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He also told her that I live at gate 67. But he was upfront about it. She just didn't understand him, right?
Yeah, she didn't understand him. There's also like when he finally is able to leave, Gupta's mad at him and he's like, you are a coward. You've come this close to like whatever. And I just feel like given the context, nobody's really, I don't know. It just seemed like those were the scenes that were written in the script that were supposed to be like inspirational or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just didn't gel some of those moments.
He's too nice to have genuine conflict, which I thought was kind of a problem. He needs to have more.
Yeah, that's true.
Like issues with his character, which is like surprising because it seems like the guy that they based the movie on had a lot of problems that they could have pulled from.
Yeah. Best performance.
I mean, Gupta. Sure.
I don't know if you guys, I thought about Tom Hanks, but I honestly liked Zoe Saldana a lot.
Yeah.
I thought hers was like one of the most grounded characters in a film full of like people overacting.
Yeah. She's though. Yeah.
So I'll give it to her.
Yeah. Like I was visibly annoyed at her at certain points of the movie, but like at the character, it was like very believable. The other ones you see, it's a cartoon kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I gave it to Stanley Tucci. I thought it was, I mean, I feel like a lot of things Stanley Tucci is in, he's playing Stanley Tucci. In this, I felt there was a little bit more to it, which was nice to see. Also, him and Diego Luna and Zoe Saldana, like the three of them have not aged. They've like aged maybe little bit, but like all three of them basically look exactly the same.
Yeah.
This could have been like 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Pouya, so was that was Saldana your favorite actor?
Yeah, I
or
would
who?
say so, yeah.
Okay, great. Festival of Cons, I've gone through all mine. Basically the stuff I mentioned at the end there with the scenes. And I think the writing overall, better writing could have made this a better film.
Yeah.
Stuff you didn't like, stuff that you want to nitpick about.
Yeah, like I said before, I didn't like I found the physical comedy in the beginning kind of unnecessary. Or like the part where he like runs through the window once or something.
Yeah. Why does why does a guy not from this country not know what glass windows and glass walls look like?
Aside from like just bad acting across the board, like from some of the main actors all the way down to the day players and like some of the background. On top of that, the wedding scene I thought was just crazy. That was just like a little too far. What's the term? A bridge too far?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bridge too far. I was like,
what was the wedding scene? I'm trying to remember what the wedding scene you're talking about.
Zoe Saldana flashes the engagement ring on her finger, and then it like smash cuts to like them getting married. And I was like, what?
At the
airport.
Yeah.
Like these people don't have lives outside of work.
Yeah.
It was like a bottle episode. Everything's in that one space,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So, double feature lineup. If you were going to pair a double feature movie night, what would you pair with The Terminal? I will just go first and say I would pair this with that documentary I watched. It's not long. It's half an hour long. But I honestly think it really puts this film into context. It's just a nice sort of balance.
Okay.
But, Farn, why would you pick Batman Begins?
Yo, we haven't had a Batman Begins callback in a while. Mine was Castaway. I think it's like another Tom Hanks movie where he's like kind of stuck.
Trying to get home.
Trying to get home. He's like kind of stuck in purgatory. No way back to where he came from or no way to get to where he's trying to go. But
the volleyball had a better performance than Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah. Pouya, what about you?
I think I would pick one of the Avatar movies for like half an hour and then watch this one to make it feel like a really good movie. That's right.
Yeah. Just in the middle of Terminal, just put half an hour of Avatar on and then put the Terminal.
That's solid.
Great. Hollywood remake. If you were to remake this film, but I guess it's not a Hollywood remake when it's this movie. It's a Iranian European remake.
I would do it with
Canadian remake.
I would do it with an all-female cast this time.
Nice.
Like Ghostbusters.
And I mean, that's how remakes are done, right? And I would keep the Emilia character still a female, and then it's a lesbian relationship, and she still leaves her at the end.
Yeah.
So that stays, but yeah, that's my idea.
I wonder how that would affect the metaphors and stuff. Would it just be? Would it be saying commentary on masculinity or femininity? What would that version be?
I mean, you would lose all the Napoleon metaphors. You need to find another historical metaphor. I don't know.
Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, Farn, what would you do? Hollywood remake?
Remake it with about the actual guy and get like an actual Iranian filmmaker to make it.
Yeah, same. So I'm going to expand on that. I think there's a much more interesting version of the story if you did a very gritty version of this man who is unwell. And I would say, like, again, we use this guy often, but I still think he'd be a really good director. Ali Abbasi, who did Holy Spider.
I was actually thinking Ali Abbasi too, yeah.
And I actually think there's something very interesting to do about making the movie about this documentarian who's trying to interview him. Because I think this guy, Mehran, in general, is such a complicated, frustratingly unlikable guy that it might not make for a good movie.
Yeah.
But making it about a guy who's trying to interview him, and the fact that this documentary filmmaker says, I saw a lot of myself in him, and I saw a lot of the immigration experience in him, I think this would be a profoundly more interesting story.
Yeah, I think so too.
You do like a real character drama, a European type film, festival film, and you don't romanticize it at all. It just would be interesting, and saying something.
Yeah.
That's so. I don't know if I just stole your thunder from you, but I was sort of on board with what you were saying for him.
No, I'm in. I also agree, and I had Ali Abbasi in mind too. I think it's a good choice.
Okay. Final thoughts and grades. I have to give this movie a C plus. I think that fits in the range around the 60s. I think this is like one of Spielberg's weaker films. It is just like a formula. Like it's not atrocious or unwatchable. It's a very formulaic story, and it's feel good.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's so sweet and saccharine to the point where it almost kind of loses a lot of, there's points where like he's finally going to go walk out the door and everybody in the airport's following him. So there's 300 people behind him. And then there's the one security guard. There's a security policeman standing in his way. And it's just like, here comes the standoff.
Yeah.
And then that one security guard steps away from him and goes, he's like, turn around. And he turns around and he puts a coat on him. And I was like, this is to the point of parody. Like South Park has made fun of this at this point. Like these moments in films where it's like, this would be the scene in a movie that they're watching and they think is going to be very impactful.
Yeah.
So it just got to the point where it's like, we've evolved so much as filmmakers that all of us, like collectively as viewers, that it's a little too cheesy.
Yeah.
And not a terrible watch, but it's a C plus for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's really fair. I echo a lot of the same sentiments as you. I might bump it up a little bit more only because I really do appreciate a lot of the interesting decisions that Spielberg makes with camera and blocking. But yeah, I think I have the exact same feelings as you. Otherwise, it gets a little too campy for me, and it detracts from the vibes of the movie itself. And I think some of the performances in this movie are not good. They're like almost over the top, which is like it. Aside from the camera moves, this did not feel like Spielberg. I give this a C++.
Gotcha. Pouya, June.
Yeah, I would also have to go with the C++ because overall I did enjoy watching it. I didn't hate myself after watching it. It was a feel-good story and it made me feel good.
There you go. Yeah.
And it was cheesy. It was corny. Some things did bother me, but not to a point where I walk out and say I hate this movie. So would I watch it again? Probably not. But do I regret watching it? Also not.
Fair.
Great.
Fair. So that means that our Cinema Rex show average for The Terminal is a C++.
The Terminal is a perfect example of how Hollywood takes a real complicated Iranian story and sands it down into something sentimental, fictional, and ultimately safer. What began with Mehran Karimi Nasseri, a deeply uncomfortable, psychologically fraught case of statelessness and identity, gets transformed into a whimsical fable about honor, patience, and American compassion, filtered through Tom Hanks's charm and Spielberg's late-era sentimentality. By inventing Krakosia and erasing Nasseri's Iranian identity entirely, the film avoids the political and emotional truth of the story it borrows from, replacing it with a feel-good myth that reassures the audience rather than challenges it. What's missing isn't just a title card or a postscript. It's the courage to sit with the messiness of the real man, the real history, and the real cost of displacement. And that absence says far more about Hollywood than it does about the story itself. Pouya, thank you so much for sitting and talking with us about this movie and joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, Pouya.
Where can people find all your comedy on the internet? Plug your stuff.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I feel honored.
The honor is all ours.
I learned a lot about cinema from two cinema heads, and it was a fun talk. If you want to check out my comedy, it's at Pouya Comedy on Instagram and YouTube. I'm working on a new hour, or I should say my first hour, and gonna organize work in progress shows across Europe soon. So stay in touch. Thank you for having me. Hopefully one day I'll do a proper hour show.
We need to have you in Toronto soon.
Yeah.
I'll come to Toronto for sure if I ever make it in comedy. That's one of my goals.
Hey, you could come to Toronto and make it here.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're like New York without all the stuff.
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I even got the IELTS and stuff exam done this summer.
Oh, nice.
I'm kind of in the process. Yeah.
Farhan June, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you for having me, Kaveh. It's always a pleasure to be on the Cinema Rex podcast. I'm a big fan of the show.
You're the guest I can't do the show without. Yeah. So thank you for coming every week as a guest.
Hell yeah.
And to all our audience listeners, follow us on Cinema Rex Podcast on Instagram or cinemarexpodcast.com. Be sure to like and subscribe and give us, 5-star ratings to help us out. And to everybody else, Be'omi de Didar.
Bye.
Music for Cinema Rex was written and performed by Sohail Sadinejad.